Welcome back. You're watching News Desk. I'm here for Business at One. My name is Kelley Boss. Now, in terms of what we have lined up for you, we have a lot. And later on, I'll point you to our paper today or standard.co.ke for some of the stories that feature there in terms of business. And then there's something on manufacturing in Machakos. And of course, Kenyans per day borrow up to 500 million in a day. That goes up to 15 billion in a month. And that's borrowing only digitally. That shows the shift of how people are borrowing right now. It's not working in the bank, just going on an application or something like that. That is what we have lined up for you, but also financial results from bank. And we start with NCBA Group PLC, which has posted a profit after tax of 21.9 billion shillings in its financial year 2024 financial results, which is a 2% increase compared to 21.5 billion reported during a similar period in 2023. The group's role in driving financial inclusion through partnerships for over 60 million customers across Africa has seen NCBA cross the 1 trillion shillings mark on digital loan disbursements. Non-performing loans ratio stands at 11.2, reflecting disciplined credit underwriting, proactive portfolio monitoring, and strong customer engagement strategies. Now, impairment coverage stands at 60%. However, the group has remained well capitalized with sufficient provisions. Now, still on banks, I&M Group has recorded a profit before tax of 20.8 billion shillings for the period ended 31st December 2024. This represents a 25% growth driven by increased operating income and strategic focus on MSME lending and digital transformation. The group's total assets grew by 0.3% to 581 billion shillings, while customer deposits stood at 412 billion shillings. Net interest income grew by 31%, with loans loss providing rising by 16% year on year, closing at 23 billion shillings. The board of directors has proposed a 1 shilling and 70 cents financial dividend, which together with the interim dividend of 1 shilling and 30 cents per share totals 3 shillings per share.
So, for I&M Bank Kenya, we had an excellent year. Our profit before tax increased 17%. Our revenue grew 16%. But I think what was also equally satisfying for the bank was that our customer base grew significantly. Our customer base has doubled in 2 years. And despite that massive growth in customers, our customer experience levels have been really high. And we're very excited about moving ahead. We've opened lots of new branches in the recent past, and we're continuing to open new branches, as well as investing heavily in our digital capabilities.
There's a big focus on continuing to entrench ourselves in our emerging market or customer segments that we are focusing on, which is the retail and business banking space. That's right across the group. We're building that capability really heavily centered on the digital investments that we're making. And we are looking at expanding also in the corporate space where we have strengths. We have extended very successfully into the oil and gas space, making sure that we are supporting the growth in our various economies, because as you can appreciate, the economies in which we are operating are still developing economies, and we need to continue investing responsibly in the oil and gas space.
Now we move on to Machakos, where manufacturers drawn from different sectors are set to benefit from investments to boost their produce. Speaking while addressing stakeholders and the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Machakos Governor Wavinya Ndeti said over 2,000 hectares has been set aside for industries at the new Machakos city, with the county mapping out industrial zones along Mombasa Road to spur economic growth.
Industries are dear to my heart because I've seen Mavoko grow because of the industries. Yeah, most of our people move from rural areas to urban areas to come and work in your industries. So I want to thank you for that. And being the governor of Machakos, I would want to make sure that you have conducive environment to do business. We are looking for partners. Mutusaidie. Nikichukua watoto 2,000 every year. Na niwapeleke kwa hizi TVETs. And then we also partner with you. Yeah, you'll have a lot of skilled young people who are going to work in your factories. We will write to come, isn't it? And say, these are the programs we have in Machakos, these are the programs that want to be supported in Machakos. Now from there, as the owners of the industries, you can go and pick what you can support.
Now, Kenyans are borrowing a staggering 500 million shillings every day from digital financial services providers. This is according to the report from the Digital Financial Services Association of Kenya that says daily borrowing equates to 15 billion shillings each month, reflecting a significant shift in how millions of Kenyans are accessing credit. With over 8 million borrowers, around 16% of the population relying on digital lenders, the industry has become a crucial pillar of financial inclusion, especially in sectors like boda boda and mobile technology.
We have an improved tax regime as a result of the Tax Laws Amendment Act 2024, which gave digital lenders what is known as bank equivalency. So now we pay the same tax SACCOs, banks, and microfinance banks pay, which essentially means that we now have some predictability. And so what we expect is improved investment. And so we have already seen companies speaking about $150 million of new funding. We're going to see new products. Companies within the association are working on fuel now, pay later products for boda bodas. For example, we are seeing new products coming for the mamambogas that are going to be larger ticket, so that we move that average ticket size from 5,000 to 10,000. That essentially could mean that one day we will be doing 1 billion shillings a day. And so that's sort of where I see the ecosystem going. I also see fewer digital lenders and non-deposit taking credit providers in the near future as consolidation will happen.
Now, small and medium-sized enterprises are the backbone of Kenya's economy, accounting for 98% of all businesses and employing millions. This is according to the 2023 Kenya Private Sector Alliance report. Among the rising youth entrepreneurs is Edna Dhahabu, a 28-year-old fashion designer from Kilifi County who has transformed traditional Mijikenda attire into a thriving business. Her venture not only employs dozens of youth, but also provides training opportunities for many youth. Now, our very own Levis Musumba explores how young innovators are driving economic growth and shaping the future of entrepreneurship in Kenya.
In a small workshop in Kilifi County, Edna Dhahabu is reviving a piece of history one stitch at a time.
Nikiwa ndani ya hando na feel niko nyumbani, unaona? So nikataka kuileta zaidi, kuichimba zaidi. Sasa sahi yani watu wengi sasa wamelana, wamejua hando ni nini, wengine wamejua culture. Mtu alikuwa anajua tu mimi ni Mgiriama lakini hajui culture yake, hajui hando ni nini.
The 28 years old Rabai designer has turned the traditional Mijikenda attire hando into a booming enterprise. Once reserved for sacred ceremonies like weddings and initiations, the hando is now making waves in corporate fashion and international markets.
Ni vazi ambalo ni tegemezi, ni vazi ambalo ni unique, ni vazi ambalo watu wageni wakifika kitu kwanza unamkaribisha nayo ni hii. Na hata kama unapeana zawadi kutoka pwani, hakuna kitu kingine unapeana, ni hizi vitu zetu za culture.
A complete hando set sells for 15,000 Kenyan shillings, and during peak seasons, Edna's business generates up to 300,000 Kenyan shillings. What started as a small venture has now expanded, employing 17 full-time youth and training dozens more in the art of weaving.
Natengeza vitu vingi, shanga za mikono, kwa shingo, kwa kiuno, mabega, kichwa.
Maybe kama wedding moja ama mbili ama tatu, ama maybe company imenipea kazi. Mostly kama company amekupea kazi, roughly inaenda maybe 150,000. Inategemea, unapata nyingine companies zingine zinakulipa 100k, inategemea na vitu wametaka. Na je, wamehaya ama wamenunua. So ikienda sana kama wamenunua. So imagine 1500 na mtu ametaka maybe hando kama 100. So kuna tenda moja nilipata ya Sudan. Hando 150. Na nikafanya na 20,000. Na wakakubali.
According to the 2023 Kenya Private Sector Alliance KIPSA report, SMEs makes up to 98% of businesses and employs over 14.9 million people, significantly contributing to poverty reduction and economic growth.
Maoni yangu mimi vijana ni kuletwa pamoja. Kuletwa pamoja afundishwe, na wakijua kuna vile unaweza pata pesa kujisaidia.
Edna has expanded her business beyond Kenya, securing market in Dubai and the United States, where she customizes African traditional attire from West and Southern Africa.
Nikaanza kuintroduce dada modern sasa. Nigeria. Sasa niko na Nigeria, niko na Kikuyu, niko na Masai, niko na South Africa. Niko nazo hapa zote.
With growing demand, she now produces an average of 1,000 handle pieces during peak seasons. However, challenges persist. The biggest hurdles include a skill gap among youth unfamiliar with the intricate weaving process, limited capital for expansion, and seasonal fluctuations in sales.
Vijana wasichague kazi. Kazi yoyote ni kazi bora tu. Inakupa riski, unaiheshimu, unatia bidii, unakuwa time, unaipea time yani.
With the youth like Edna transforming traditional crafts into thriving businesses, SMEs continue to be the engine of Kenya's economy. Levis Msumba, KTN.
Now, stakeholders in the agri-food sector have identified inadequate financing as the biggest challenge facing the sector, affecting its output. They have noted a low budgeting on the sector by the government and a lack of commercial lending to farmers leads to low incomes as the pressing needs of farmers are not fully addressed. They spoke during the launch of Agri-Food System Sustainability, that is FINA's 2025 Summit in Nairobi. Our reporter Wanjiko Wajiro with more on this story.
The agriculture sector continues to play a critical role in Kenya's economy, accounting to about 20% of gross domestic product (GDP). However, stakeholders in the sector have noted an imbalance in its funding system, ranging from low budgeting to insufficient commercial funds available for lending to farmers, leading to low output.
If we look at our statistics, I think we are only providing less than 3% of our budgets going into agriculture. If we look at commercial lending, I think the loan book to agriculture is no more than 4%. Yet this is a sector that is contributing 23% to GDP. So there's an imbalance of funding to the sector, yet it's one of the biggest portfolio carriers to GDP.
Speaking during the launch of Agri-Food Systems Sustainability, FINA's 2025 Summit in Nairobi, Agriculture Principal Secretary Paul Rono has noted the need for engaging in appropriate approaches for funding that will align with the Kampala Declaration, a new agricultural development strategy aimed at, among others, increasing Africa's agri-food output by 45% and transforming its agri-food systems as part of its agenda to make the continent food secure by 2035.
If we can crack financing of the agricultural sector that is widely in three streams, crops, livestock and fisheries, then I think we'll be addressing huge challenges of the country, especially when it relates to income disparities.
This summit brings together actors in the food systems ecosystem to take stock of the current financing policy environment, repurpose financing to suit the agri-food system's pressing needs, strengthen de-risking within the systems, and to strengthen engagements to improve access to finance solutions and food systems, among others. Wanjiko Wanjiro, KTN.
Now, the biggest challenge with starting a business is usually a business license, not even the capital, which is ironic. Now, the National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Embu Charter, is calling for urgent consultations with the Embu County government over the rising cost of business licenses. Speaking at the Business Forum in Embu Town, KNCCI Chairperson Mugo Mate emphasized that the abrupt fee hikes are in direct violation of the County Finance Act of 2019. The chamber has raised concerns that fee is doubling annually, creating a challenging environment for local businesses.
Wakati mwingine unakuta mwaka uliopita ulilipa 8,000. Wakati unajikuta invoice yako imeenda 14,000. Sasa hiyo tofauti haiko na haifai kuwa, kwa sababu unless mtu amebadilisha biashara ama amebadilisha mahali anafanyia biashara, maybe ulikuwa kule mashinani ukakuja huko town, hakuna license inafaa kubadilika as long as biashara ni ile ile ya jana, situation ni ile ile ya jana, mahali unafanyia biashara ni pale pale pa jana. The way Finance Act ilipita 2019 na vile ilikuwa amended 2020, njia hiyo ndio inafaa kukua sheria inayotumika. Kuna wale enforcement officers ambao unakuta hata mtu alikuwa anauza kitu maybe something perishable, unaweza kuta ni matunda, unaweza kuta ni nyanya, bandera kama ni vile umekiuka maybe mahali usongeshwe kidogo, unakuja wamekuja wamefuruga hiyo biashara, wamemwaga hizo matunda, wamemwaga hiyo, so baadaye unajikuta mwisho utajikuta huyu mtu umemsukuma nje ya biashara, na hivyo basi uhalifu utakuwa mwingi. Hii mkutano tumefanya hapa Embu ni ya kwanza, tutaifanya tena kule Runyenjes, tutafanya pande ya Siakago, tutafanya pande ya Kiritire, tutaifanya Embu mzima, na tunauliza wana biashara tunapowaita, sisi hatuwaiti kuwapea pesa, tunawaita tuwapee information, and information is power. Kwa hivyo wacha watu wakuje ili tukubaliane ya kwamba uko na sheria ambayo inakudefend wewe.
Now, that story does it for Business at One, but I'll point you to today's Bold Standard newspaper, where there's a pullout there called the Enterprise Pullout that features business stories and technology stories. And of course, I'll point you to one particular story that talks about the rise of, street vendors and, street food and the culture in Nairobi. There's one guy who makes up to 8,000 shillings a day. On a good day, of course, maybe there's a bad day and everything. But he says this particular business does really well in estates, but not in CBD, because in CBD, ukishikwa na kanjo is around 5,000 shillings. But that story, I'll point you to that or standard.co.ke. It does it for Business at One. Coming up next is Sports with Jeff Mogire.